Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi. Recently, one of the commenters, Ultimate Shield 340, made a video. Was a great video on his version of the file jammer build that I always am talking about. I didn't invent it, probably someone way before me, but I do a lot of videos about it, or I end up running it a lot. So he did a great video with his variation. So what I'm going to try to do is kind of, I have some of the stuff in my inventory, so I'm going to try to duplicate his build. One of the disadvantages of my process is I don't do it live. I don't talk live while I'm doing stuff. So this is after the fact. So I put a blue screen. That's one of the items he has in there. You can see I have tag team, but it's a Gila. Gila has 5% armor. I have my pistol, which will do more damage on status effects because I'm going to be status effect heavy. I'm getting rid of my test subject, and I'm going to go ahead and put this FAMAS, which is going to help again with preservation. I guess I check. So I'm trying to make my weapons match that, but I have a tag team. I'm a status build. Here's the main differences between my build and his build. I'm still tactician, and I only have, I don't have the 2 pieces of armor that give you, excuse me, additional status effects. So, additional explosive. So I'm down, let's say 25% explosive damage. Still going to use the vial. Toxic delivery is the main thing that we're doing. I'm not going to be as powerful in my build on this end. I might have more status effects than he does. The other difference is my haste rate. The fastest I can go, I'm showing you the gunner or the demolitionist. This is where you get the 10%. And this is what he's doing. He has that 10% plus an additional 15% on 2 pieces of 1 set of armor. And then he has 1 piece of China Light. I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go to status effects, but I'm going to use tag team. And the other thing that he does, which is a smart move, to proc blue screen, he's going to use a skill that he can put down really fast. And with tag team, you're going to be able to get that skill back faster. And it's like the chemical launcher. The chemical launcher for me, I'm a 6 tier. I get like 7 of them in there. And, you know, eventually when you use all of them, the tag team is going to help. So the other difference is I'm going to go in a legendary. Now, 2 points that he made that are fantastic, and he has a new video out, why the cover-to-cover system is the king of tactics, which I agree. And you'll see in his video, his first video, he's in a heroic, and you don't need to go cover-to-cover. And the reason you don't, the group's so powerful, they go through the heroic stuff like it's nothing. So by him going cover-to-cover, they're moving so fast. If the group wasn't a pickup group, maybe if him and I were in the same guild, and I know he wanted to do that, we would move quick cover to cover, but we would move as a group, because that's the advantage of all that stuff. There, I'm loading the chem launcher. So I have the tag team, I have the blue screen, I have some of the pieces that Ultimate Shield 340 has. The difference is I'm going to go in a heroic. Now, I'm not as good as Ultimate Shield 340. He's a better player than me. So that's first off, I want you just to realize that. He's better than I am at the game. That's number 1. And so I'm going to try to run his build. I have a couple little modifications, but shouldn't be that different. So the first thing I do in DUA is I always come up here and start pulsing. Now my pulse is a little bit slower. Some of the group's down, so I have to change my mind thinking that I might have to heal people. I can see the person that has the tag team on them, but I'm in a legendary, so I got to stay in cover. Thus, when you hear Ultimate Shield, talk about Ultimate Shield 340, talk about cover to cover. You have to go cover to cover in Legendary or you're going to get smoked, which you'll see what happens when we stay out of it. So for me in this part, two things are happening. Number one, I'm not pulsing as fast because I need to use tag team. And number two, I'm not throwing out seeker mines. And this has come to another excuse me, fundamental difference. You can see our tank is moving forward. This guy's pretty good, and you're going to see the advantage of Ultimate Shield's build right now. I'm still pulsing, but I'm going to be able to throw out some healing for myself and for my teammates. He's correct. Unbreakable is a selfish skill in that it only applies to you. I definitely add more versatility as a chem launcher guy. And watch what my tank does. My tank comes up and protects me, so I'm going to make sure I'm throwing the heal out to him. I get a pulse out. And this is a very complicated build in the respect that there's a lot going on. So if you're a person that can handle that, this is a great build for you because there's a lot going on. I'm stacking people with blue screen. I want blue screen to get up to the max or halfway, and then I'm going to do a skill. Once I do a skill, it resets blue screen. I'm trying to heal people at the same time. I'm looking back at the tank. So this is a build I'm not smart enough to play. And that's why I say he's better than me. So I'm going to try to build up stacks. You can always build up stacks on dogs and Johnny Fives with a blue screen or a big chunga. And here I'm healing our tank. This is fantastic. So at this point, I'm saying, well, I don't always get the tag team, but I'm more productive in the group. I'm healing people. I don't have as good as healing as Ultimate because I'm more haste-based than helping out the teammates' recovery. This is the second wave in this, or is this the third wave? All right, we already beat the second wave. This third wave with the chungas. Look, I can heal myself. That's why I don't need Unbreakable. Again, so that's, and I have tag team. What you'll notice, though, is I'm not getting tag team. And this is one of the disadvantages I found with tag teams in Legendaries. In Heroics or anything else, and there goes me. So if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I'm a little scaredy cat. So once I go down, I'm like, what about my old build? It never happened then. So I'm having some doubt, but I'm like, look at that. I just healed my teammate. Look at me doing good. I'm healing the tank. You'll see sometimes I heal the enemy, but that's okay. I'm being overwhelmed at this point with the amount of things I have to do. And so, again, Ultimate Shields build's great. I'm just not as great at playing it. It's my first time through it, too. Tanks moving forward. We've killed the chungas. This is a pretty powerful group, by the way. Two of the people aren't too high of level. They're okay level, but what I noticed, they have a lot of gun DPS. And see, this is an advantage of his build right here. I go toe-to-toe with a Johnny 5, but because I can continually heal myself, I stay up. That is the best example of this build and why it's awesome. To go along with his 2 points, you should use your specialty skills more and cover to cover. He is spot on. Have I told you I suck playing this build yet? So we're regrouping. I'm thinking about, this is normally when I would change to some type of build. There's not as many drones or his dog in this next part. So what I would recommend in this part now is I put on your skill DPS or your skill, your skill DPS build. But I'm going to stick with this build because I'm supporting my people. I thought about maybe throwing up a turret, but I decided not to. That's Roxy, everybody. All right, so we go in. If you're chewing that wood, I'm going to really tell you something. Okay, so there's several waves in this. First wave, excuse me, gosh, cold. First wave, normal people, they put out healing pots. You want to get rid of those healing pots. I'm now glad that I didn't get rid of my EMP, because the EMP is going to help us get rid of those healing pots. I have to move forward. The tank's moving forward. I can heal him, so everything's copacetic. I have a couple faults as I play. Sometimes I try to heal people when I shouldn't. Mostly I've cured myself of this. If they die, I let them die and let the strength of my build carry me. Number two is I'm not that good with my shot. You'll notice in this build variation I have way more armor than he had. Oh, here comes the Chungus. So this is the make or break part. So, laid on that heal. That was indecisive. Oh, now I'm going to try to pick him up. And boom goes the dynamite. So what do you think is going to happen next? A, I'm going to keep playing. B, I'm going to rage quit. Or C, I don't know what's up with my video either. It's not full screen, but whatever. That's Caesar. Here's what I do immediately. I'm like, I can't do this. So I go back to Old Faithful. And I pick Old Faithful that gives me more healing. So I'm not even going to my best DPS. I'm going to my best Vial Jammer. I'm going to my Vial Jammer that I had before I really optimized it, but this has some self-healing. I'm going to stay up. The difference between Ultimate Shield and I also, which is unfair, is I've optimized my armor up to like level 16. There's a guy behind me, I think. I don't care. My partners get him. I run all over. But you see also I have immediate medical assistance needed. Seekers, and I'm going to have the Pulse. This is normally what I do. Again, his build is great. He's telling you go cover to cover. That's what you need to do, move cover to cover. The problem is I'm not good enough at that build yet. See, also I have the Scorpio. This is the difference between the Scorpio and the blue screen. If I was in a group that did better damage and could carry themselves a little bit more, I could probably run that build. But I'm in a group that's a little bit light on the self-protection. The people don't have a lot. The tank's okay. The other people don't have a lot of armor. The difference between a blue screen and a Scorpio is this. Blue screen, you can give everyone on the field the damage and put a lot. The Scorpio is you can just give it to everyone, but you got to shoot them. So it's a little bit different. It's more labor intensive. It's instant Vial Jammer versus the blue screen, which is potential. You can control the blue screen. There are times when I think that's the most optimal way to play. And again, what Ultimate said is, and what his new video is saying is cover to cover. That's the only way you can fight. That's part of the genesis for this build. So when he's playing a heroic, yeah, you're going to make modifications to your base Vial Jammer build where you can be more quick, you can move faster. And then you're going to stay in cover to cover. Maybe you get no healing and you just do cover to cover moves. You're always going to be fine. So I catch the bullet and Unbreakable fires off. That's the difference. Even though I have a lot more armor, I can take a one-shot because of Unbreakable. It's just the difference between a legendary and a heroic. And really, the Vial Jammer build's no good when you try to solo heroic. It's okay, but it's not the best build. But listen, solo legendary. So, besides being a better player than me, Ultimate Shield is better in groups because he's going to heal. This build start off to be better healing to his squad mates. So that build is fantastic for that. But I'm not running it in a heroic. I'm running it in where you have to move cover to cover. And you're at the ultimate test. So we get here through here fine. Again, the difference, if you can tag team on capital on the first section would be okay, because all those enemies are in a wide open space. The problem is if in this part, for example, if I had tag team on, I could run to the left here. They could all go inside. I could run down the alleyway and pulse them from the wrong side, but I'd never see tag team. So there's uses for it, but it's maybe not in this case. And I throw the Seekers, and then I'm going to move up forward and hopefully pulse them. So when you listen to Ultimate's video, he's 100% right. Cover to cover isn't utilized. When I complain about people in legendaries, they're not using cover. They go up forward on a fight where they're not protected. He's right. That's probably the ultimate tactic because it's a cover-to-cover based shooter. In a different, maybe in Roosevelt Island, maybe tag team is a better option because it's more wide open fights. There are some parts in Roosevelt that the jammer part of the Vile Jammer is just not useful. I would say the one where the Chunga gets dropped off on the helo right in front of you on Roosevelt Island. In this case, it's not optimal, but, you know, it's really for the Chunga part. And it's if we get pushed, I'm going to still be able to put damage and disorient on the enemy. I held off using those skills because I want to save them because the guys are coming any moment. Again, now a big difference between the blue screen and the Scorpio. In this case, when the people come around the corner, I'm going to immediately be putting status effects and damage. And with Creeping Death, which we both have, I'm going to damage them. The blue screen would be okay. And the blue screen in this case with the blue screen with Creeping Death would spread it to everyone. So blue screen would have been better. But I've got to change in that point. And so that's a defect on me, not in this build. Right now I should be changing blue screen. It's what I thought about. I guessed on that, and here they come. The next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to pulse them once, please, and then I'm going to run. Which I didn't do last time. So is it Ultimate's fault that I didn't run? No, it's not his fault. I'm an idiot. And how do you know if your group's underpowered? If you all get pushed out that little doorway. So we're not there yet. We're hanging on hard. Now everyone but the tank I end up doing the rest of this mission, but it was a long time. The three of us did the rest of the mission. They had good DPS, but we three-manned it. And we still have a foothold here. So this is what you're gauging your group strength. Do you get pushed all the way in this doorway? Or do you push back? So we have a good group. And that tank's a pretty good build, so everything's okay. Now here's what sucks for the tank. I took off the healing, so I'm not going to be able to support him. And spoiler alert, later he drops out of the group because he dies and he's not getting healed. In a game like World of Warcraft, which is on my other channel, which I play, yes, that's something that you would do in that game. You have a dedicated healer, that's Roxy. But in the Division, you're kind of responsible for your own healing. It's nice if someone decides to heal, but we're talking about the DPS. A lot of these legendaries are DPS races. So this gets to point number 2. And I thought about this a lot. This goes back to game theory. So I've mentioned this before. There was a game called Red Alert 2 that I played. And that game, you could build a defensive base that no one could get in. You had Tesla coils if you were the Soviets. It was a great game. Later, I got Warcraft. Me and my boys tried to play it. And when I realized Warcraft, you couldn't make a base where it was impossible to penetrate. You could still get into any base. So, you know what? Roxy ate that off his tail. She's the one stealing it. I just knocked out my one dog. And so what happens is in those type of games, you got to be offensive. You got to have some defensive skills, but you got to be offensive. Okay, I'm not in cover, but look where I am. I am in cover from direct line of sight. So you want to remove yourself from direct line of sight. Pulse is great. It goes through all the windows. Getting back to the gameplay, and this is what I would say. What I have found is I'll go in some groups, and the lower level players will have a revive hive, which, to be honest, everyone, is useless in a legendary, because if you're going to go down, it's not going to save you. You're just going to die twice. That's all. That's all that's going to happen. If you're a tank build, yes, it's going to be worthwhile because you have all that stuff. And so you're not going to go down as much. Now we're waiting for this last part, and this is where you need Pulse like an MF, because those guys are going to throw drones, and we don't have enough firepower to keep them from running in here. So that's why Seekers are good. We don't put any pressure. I've told you, you have to put pressure on the enemy, and then it won't rush you. We're not putting enough pressure on the enemy, so they overrun us. So these are all the things. You got to have enough DPS on a legendary. On a heroic, ultimate shield, 340, I salute you. And I still salute you. I love your videos. They're very detailed. They make a lot of sense. He has a lot of great theory crafting. There's a lot of good reasons why he does this stuff. I was just trying to exonerate, isn't the right word. I was just trying to pimp what he was doing because I was so happy for it. And the video was so good. And that's why I caveated all this. I'm not that good of a player. I can't play his build. Legendary's a little bit different. He has another video. I'm going to watch all of it. I'm trying to get this one out tonight. But I'm going to watch his other video. But I agree. It's all about the cover to cover and the tactics. So, thanks everyone. Ultimate Shield 340. I salute you. Your video is great. Thank you. And I'll talk to everyone soon.